I'm in the middle of recording a course on how to model and texture this character in Blender. His name is Pothead, and the concept comes from our old coworker Tim Von Ruden, and it makes for a really interesting challenge to translate into 3D, because a lot of it is very sharp, hard surface, kind of machined type details, but we also need a lot of organic type curves and smoothness. So in the course we go through the Subdiv workflow to get the best of both worlds, but one of the things that's always coming up is sharpening up some of these edges. And one of the things that a lot of beginners have questions on is the difference between using creases and using extra edge loops when working with subdivision surfaces. I'm Jonathan Lampel with cgcookie.com, and in this video, I want to clear up the differences between the two and when to use each. For that, I'm going to go ahead and hide our character for now and turn on just this super simple example. Let's add a Subdiv modifier to it just by hitting Control and 2. That's going to give us a nice blob-like shape. And the first way that we're going to do this is just to add some edge loops. But before we do that, I'm going to just hit Shift-D and move this over on the X-axis so we can compare this to the creased version later. Then I'll select our original one, hit Tab to enter Edit Mode, and I can just start sharpening this up with edge loops. So I'll hit Control-R and slide a loop over to the left, Control-R, slide a loop over to the right, and continue sharpening this up just like so. So this is the traditional way of sharpening up edges in a Subdiv workflow. If I add one to the bottom, I'm going to want to hit E for even, and then F to flip, to make sure that it's completely flat. And same thing with the top one here. Once I add this in, I'll hit E for even, F to flip, and that way it's not being pulled downwards. Now for this middle one, or really any other edge that I want to add an holding edge on both sides, what I could do is just hit Control B and bevel this, scroll up once on the mouse wheel, and that will allow me to do the same thing, but much faster. Now if you do this though, you're going to want to turn the shape all the way up to 1 so that the original edge isn't moved. Otherwise, it's going to be blended down and you're going to get the wrong shape. So with that, I'll hit Tab to go back to Object Mode, right-click and Shade Smooth, and we can see that we get a great result with this. Now let's compare this to using creases. I'll take this second one, move it a little bit over, hit Tab to go into Edit Mode, and to crease something, we just need to take some edges here, and let's select all of the ones that we want to be sharp, and hit Shift-E, and drag our mouse wheel to the right. If we drag it all the way to 1, it's going to pop up and be completely sharp, but I'll leave it just a little bit shy of that. We can also see this number if we hit N to go to our sidebar, go to Transform, and under Mean Crease, mean in this case meaning the average crease of all of these selected edges, we can also adjust it right here. If we hit Tab to go into Object Mode, right-click, and Shade Smooth, you can see that this one looks far, far worse than the other one. Of course, it's also using a little bit less geometry. If we go into Wireframe View, and turn off Optimal Display for both of these, then you can see the one on the left is indeed using a lot more geometry than the one on the right, but not significantly more, and that's the important part. But let's for a second take a closer look at what this crease is doing in Wireframe View. So if we look at our subdivided wires here, as I increase the crease, it's just taking the edges that are closest to our original edges, and then everything else is just blended in between those. So the reason this looks really bad when it comes to our shading is that the way the smooth shading works is that it averages between our faces. So as you can see here, we have one face pointing in this direction and one face pointing in this direction with a really sharp edge between the two, and that's a lot to average between. Even if we decrease the crease slightly and pull it back down to, let's say, 0.6 or 0.75, we're still getting a really sharp angle here that it has to blend between. And that's just too extreme for it to look good. Whereas with the other mesh over here, since we have a lot more faces to work with, it's just averaging this face, and it has this one that are pointing in those same directions. But now we also have all of these faces in between that it can easily blend between. And this makes for a much smoother gradation between the two surfaces. As you can see in solid view, the more subdiv levels we have, the better this is going to look, because the more geometry there is to average between. But with the first example, we don't really need that many levels of subdiv before it looks really good. We need maybe 3 at most, but we could probably get away with even 1 or 2 depending on how close the viewer is to this object. Whereas with this second one, we have to crank this up quite a bit in order for this to look even decent. So I'll take the mean crease and I'll pull it up to about 0.83 for our creased object. And let's say we have our viewport level set to about 5, because that's where the visual quality is at least similar to this one on the left. And even so, we're still getting a lot of blending here at the top. So we might want to try to crease this edge as well. But we're going to have to use a pretty light touch here, otherwise it gets pretty crazy and pulls all the way to that point, which we definitely don't want. So I'll pull this in a little bit, but not too much. And you can see that these now look fairly similar, though this one is still being pinched kind of inwards down here because of that. So we're getting more visual artifacts here, but even so, this is still pretty similar. But the big advantage of using a crease in the first place was that it used fewer polygons. Well, now this is actually using way more, and I'll show you the difference if I add a new collection here and drag this into the new collection, and I'll turn it off. So now we're just looking at just this object here, and the one with the subdiv of level 2, we now have about 3,600 triangles. So not bad, especially for a subdiv object. Now if we turn this off and turn on the other one, the one that's visually similar while using creases, we are now seeing 36,800 triangles. So an exponential amount more for the same visual result. And that's why I generally suggest people use the holding edges method instead of using creases, at least for most things. But I will actually use creases sometimes when we're working with smaller details. So let's say we have this object here, which is, one of our main objects, but we have just a little tiny detail off to the side of it. And that can be this object. So if I scale this really far down and just move this off to the side, maybe it's just a little decal or something, then of course we don't need this much topology. In fact, we can turn this down quite a bit. I'll set it back to its original level of 2, and we can really start to see this crease being pulled up here, so I'll uncrease that really quick, Shift E. Actually, let's just set this to 0 there to make it a little bit easier. Okay, so it doesn't look perfect, but if we're looking at it from, this distance, then that will still do, and it'll use a lot less geometry than before. Now, the point can be argued, though, that if we're going to be this small, and it's going to be, this less important, then we may as well not use a subdiv at all. We may as well just go through and take all of these edges. I'll hit Shift G and select everything that has a similar crease. And by the way, that Shift G hotkey for selecting similar of any attribute is incredibly helpful. But let's select everything that has a crease here, and I'll just turn the crease down to 0, and instead hit Control B and bevel it instead. I'll turn the shape down a little bit this time. And now we're going to get a very similar visual result, but for even fewer polygons than using the creases. So I will still use creases sometimes, and you'll see me do that in the course, but it's in the very fine line between something that's really important and very large and something that we're going to get close to, and something that's so small that we may as well not use subdiv at all. Now, the one downside of using this approach of adding in all these edge loops is that it becomes kind of cumbersome to change our object. For example, if we wanted to make this peak a little bit more pointy, then we can't just select this edge loop up here, or even all of these. Let's just select all these vertices. We can pull it up and make it more pointy, but then we also have to go in and select these edge loops and pull them down a little bit in order to match that angle, and so on and so forth, and that gets very cumbersome. So one thing that we could do is use a bevel modifier before we use our subdiv modifier. I'll go ahead and hit Shift D and just move this off to the other side, and just remove all of these edge loops that I've added really quick. That way we're back to our regular blob shape, and instead of adding our edge loops in edit mode, I'll just add modifier and add a bevel, and drag that above the subdiv. Now I'll turn off the subdiv temporarily so we can actually see how wide the bevel is, and I'll turn the size down till it's about the same size as where we placed those edges before. But just like before, we're going to have to add one more segment here to keep that original edge, and then go down to Profile and turn the shape up to 1. Then we can turn our subdiv back on, and we'll get the exact same result over here, but it's going to be a lot easier to edit. For example, we can change the sharpness of this over here under the amount, and we can also control the sharpness in edit mode by using the bevel weights. So instead of using the limit method angle over here, I'll just set this to weight, which by default every edge has a weight of 0, but I'll just select the edges that we need to be sharp here, and turn up the mean bevel weight. And then if we need any edge to be even sharper, then we can just decrease the bevel weight like so. I'd also like to point out that using holding edges and using creases don't have to be mutually exclusive. For example, over here, when we're using those holding edges, if we wanted to sharpen up this top portion just a little bit more, then we could select these edges here and turn up the crease. So it probably won't look as good as if we had just taken these edges and just slid them upwards, but if you need your edges to stay where they are and need a little bit of extra sharpness, then that's a good way to go. The last thing I want to say on this subject is that you have to be really careful when you're doing the bevel before the subdiv method, because it can mess with your UVs pretty substantially. So here's what I mean. If we go in here, and let's say we wanted to add a seam at all of the edges that are beveled, I can just hit Shift G and select those beveled edges. Actually, I'll select 2 because that one has a different bevel weight. Shift G and bevel. There we go. let's say we want to just right click and mark seam, and let's say everything just works out perfectly well, everything is nice. But if we go ahead and apply our bevel now, Control A and apply for that modifier, tap into edit mode, you'll now see that our seams are entirely in the wrong place. So by adding in these manually, we get a lot more control, but also we can set our seams exactly where we want them to be. Now, it's not always a problem when it comes to unwrapping to have a bevel modifier here, but a lot of the time it does cause more problems than it's worth. But I'll show you how to fix the most common ones so that you don't always have to apply this. I'll just go over to my UV editing workspace here, and I have a regular checkerboard image. Let's go ahead and apply it to the material for this object here. I'll just drag and drop that data block right in. That'll add an image texture of this, and I don't even need to plug it in just because my solid view is set to texture and this node is selected. Okay, so now we can see this. This is unwrapped. I'll just hit U and unwrap here, increase the margin a little bit, and you'll see a ton of stretching right along these edges. Now, the first thing that we have to do to fix this, and I talk about this a lot in the course, is go down to the Subdiv modifier under Advanced, and under UV Smooth, just change this to Keep Corners. So that'll fix the initial issue, and this is going to look a lot better. Now, remember I said that we had to increase the segments so that there's an edge on either side. If we look at our Subdiv modifier here, we can see that we have our original edge, we have one edge kind of on the right and one edge on the left. But if we were to decrease this, and let's say we only have one segment, and that original edge no longer exists, then we're going to get a lot of texture stretching. Now, it's not particularly bad here, but when we add in our subdiv, then things get even worse. So it's something to be really careful of. And the same thing applies anytime we have an odd number of edges here. So if we go back to 2, then everything looks great. But if we go to 3, then things start to look very stretched again, especially in these corners here. You can see we are starting to get a lot of problems. But then if I increase this to 4, then everything looks good. So generally I like to take this and leave it at 2, but I'll usually actually apply this before adding my seams, doing all my unwrapping. That way I don't have to worry about running into problems later. And especially if I need to apply this later, then again, I still have all of my seams in the wrong place, and if I go to U and unwrap, then we just get a giant disaster. So that's just something to be careful of when using this method, but otherwise it's a great way to keep your mesh very editable and very flexible while you're still modeling. I'll be wrapping up this hard surface character course pretty shortly, so be on the lookout for that coming soon. It involves creating a lot of complex shapes with subdivision surfaces, like the holes in his little pot hat, and the eyes in his face here, all these things that we need areas where they're very, very smooth, but also very sharp. And using holding edges and creases will definitely help us along the way. We'll also be covering bevels and booleans and how to combine it all together. So I'm really excited to publish that later next month. So thanks for watching, I'll see you then.